it doesn't matter where you are. If you are not living your purpose, that feeling of void is going to follow you even when you're overseas, even when you're outside of the borders. So I started really just believing in the fact that I belong here. Where I am, I'm here because of where I'm supposed to be, and I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. So numbers, like I said, got redefined, but it really had to say, I need to reinvent myself. So the reinvention came in, and when the reinvention came in, everything else just fell into place.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Numbers Don't Lie, where we speak about numbers. Have you ever realized how numbers shapes our lives and they're part of our daily lives? On a daily basis, there is a number we are following. And I just want to remind you that you are as young in numbers as you can be at this moment that you are listening to us. So that's how important numbers are. So I'm actually excited today, and I always say that because this podcast has special guests. So today I have my sister, who is my sister in business and sister in all things entrepreneurship. So welcome, Boitumelo. I don't want to mess your introduction, so please introduce yourself, tell us about who you are, and I'm very excited to have you.
Okay. Thank you, Millie, for that. Warm welcome and good morning, and also good morning to the viewers. My name is Boitumelo Lekoko. I am a founder of a business. But, maybe before we get there, I'm a mother of two
Yes.
boys, and I am at a point in my life where I really do believe that I am finally living my purpose. For a very long time, I had a void, and I thought a void can be filled with titles, a void can be filled with money, a void can be filled with travel, a void can be filled with a whole lot of things. But I think purpose is something that has really redefined me as a person. And I am a certified fraud examiner by trade. I am a forensic investigation expert. And my business name is Lekoko Advisory Services. We provide forensic investigation services, ethics advisory, and risk management services. 16, yeah, adding another year from last year, 17 years worth of experience in the industry. And yeah, I've led a whole lot of things, complex forensic investigation, high profile matters. And that's basically who I am.
Oh, thank you so much. And it's so lovely because we're starting this podcast is the start of 2025. A lot of people will be thinking purpose, will be New Year resolutions. I don't even know if you set them, but obviously in the question of New Year resolutions and all that we do, vision boards and all things that we do, it's purpose. So it would be interesting to know, how did you get to purpose? It could be your journey from where you started. We call it day zero in Numbers Don't Lie, but it can be
Yes.
day zero of anything aligned to purpose.
Yeah. So I like what you said there about numbers don't lie and your podcast.
Yeah.
So when I think about it, where my life is, purpose redefines numbers. And it actually eliminates the obsession with numbers. Like you're saying, today is the youngest you can be. We tend to think, I'm 30, I'm 40, I should have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I should be here. But what purpose does is it doesn't care where you are, who you with in that little dorpy, in a village, in a township. When you live in your purpose, the people that are supposed to consume it, the demand for it, the attraction for it, you're going to find it. That's why I'm sitting here with you. It wasn't a strife. We didn't have to do a whole lot of things. I think we met at a conference, and then we met at another one, and then we started connecting, and then we were having a conversation about something else. And then you're like, hey, actually, come to my podcast. And we started actually just realigning like that. So like you're saying, it's really about how I found mine. It was not even something that I thought it would be. I thought purpose is, okay, I want to be a teacher, I'll teach. I thought purpose is, I'm passionate about this and this, then I'm going to do that. But if I can briefly say it, my purpose is really just to encourage people to a place of healing, and just for them to find their light. I don't want to come into a room and leave people the same way that they were. If you're feeling despondent, if you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling like it's the end of the world for you and you have an interaction with me, that has to change. So that's basically my purpose.
To transform people's in for better.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
When you spoke about purpose, doesn't actually, it takes away the obsession from numbers because we really can be obsessed. As the years goes, it's like 2025. Oh, when it was 2010, I felt like 25 is far, and you can look at your life and feel like you haven't done much. And you can then start worrying that your age is getting to a certain number. So thank you for really bringing that one out. And I'm just reminded by the fact that Jesus lived for about 33 years, but look at how his purpose is still touching our lives even today. So our purpose really can even go beyond our lifetime.
True.
Thank you for that. So as we speak about your purpose, the journey to purpose can be so daunting, can be so challenging. So how did you maneuver in terms of getting to that purpose? Is it through academic, through work? How did you then get to?
Yeah. So, like I said, it starts with a void. I'm finding myself in a space where I'm accomplishing. I'm a partner at one of the, big four firms. I am leading cases and matters that are complex. I'm actually accomplishing. I'm traveling the world. I'm buying the best of perfumes and bags and all of that stuff. But here's this void. It's not going away.
Yeah.
And it started off as me feeling like there is this shrink that I need to shrink in order to be able to fit into particular spaces. When you start feeling like you are now boxed in, because whether we like it or not, if you are in a corporate environment, there's certain rules, standard procedures that you have to follow. And those are really about, here, this is how you're going to operate. But I knew that I needed to do way more than that. Be it that I need to be doing a podcast, be it that I need to be going out and empowering young people. But you find yourself in a space where there is no time. Time becomes the enemy. When time became the enemy, I knew that I had to do something about it. And really, I found it through breaking fears. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of what am I going to do if I am going to leave the one thing that I've known for the past 13 years. So I had to overcome a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, a lot of anxiety. And I had to also look untoward myself because, like I said, there was a lot of void. And I thought everything that I was doing was going to fulfill it. I would be sitting here and then I'm in Singapore thinking, oh, I need a holiday. But even in that place that I am, it's like, oh, I traveled all the way here to be depressed. I traveled all the way here to be sad. It doesn't matter where you are. If you are not living your purpose, that feeling of void is going to follow you even when you're overseas, even when you're outside of the borders. Yeah.
So true. And like you said, you had the best perfume, the best holiday, the best qualification.
The best.
And the world, when the world sees you, they like, you are so accomplished. And the world can sometimes say, but you are so ungrateful, So it's so difficult when we're sitting at that state because the world sees you as you should have it all. That's why we don't understand when people are depressed.
Yes.
And they get to even commit suicide when they had it all in terms of the world.
Yeah.
So how do you then, or what triggers that void, or what triggers that action? Because the world sees you as accomplished.
Yeah. Look, I'm a Christian, and really my faith is going to come into play here. I do believe that until you get to a point where you are spiritually fulfilled, you can be fulfilled by worldly things, you can be fulfilled by materialistic things, relationship, love, all these things. But if spiritually you're not aligned with the destiny in which you have been placed and what you've been called for, I believe that you will never feel like it's enough. So I had to get to a point where, when is it going to be enough? When is it going to be a point whereby I'm enough, I'm validated, I'm happy, I've got the joy, I've got the strength. Because when things start becoming now a strife, like it's like you have to fight yourself to be able to operate within your true sense of power, your true sense of strength. You have to fight to get to that strength. These days, that strength just comes in. These days, I even attract, that kind of feeling. It just comes to me. So I think it's not being ungrateful. It's really just to say we have to get to a point whereby we are really true to ourselves and not defined by everything that's surrounding us.
And it's really that true to yourself that sometimes we are scared to face. Most of us, or the world, like it's even a crowded world. You wake up, your phone is crowded, it makes noise, there's so much noise. So it means when you want to find that void and really entertain it so that you can get to your purpose, you need to get back to who you are, which sometimes we don't want to face. That's why we camouflage with a lot of other things.
Yes.
So in the midst of getting to that calling or that purpose, the fear of I need to now re-transform myself, become this true self of me. How do you then start and how do you then listen? How do you break the fears?
Yeah. Oof. That's a very good one. I mean, to be honest with you, I was scared. Ooh. I mean, I'm coming out of my comfort. I had to leave corporate in order for me to be able to do all these things. And even now, this year, when I was just reflecting on my resolutions, I was like, I would never be like this list or whatever vision that I have. There's just no way that I would have even thought about these things. There's just no way that I would have even thought about even the need for me to do those things, because like you're saying, it's so cluttered.
Yeah.
When you get to that other side, and that's the nature. You have to have a diary that is full. You have to be busy. You have to meet targets. You have to do all these things, while at the same time you have to life.
Yes.
So all those things really gets you to a point where you like, okay, I need to get to a point whereby I can be settled, because I'm not settled. I'm all over the place. I want to do this. I want to do that. But where are you settled, and where is your soul and your true power going to be able to operate? So I had to get out of that space, not knowing what is next, and that comfort zone. Because remember, in corporate, you know that on the 25th, you're going to get a salary.
Yeah.
When you're getting onto your yearly plan, this is what we're going to do on an annual basis. It's your comfort space, your comfortable space. So I had to really just think about the numbers to say, now, what's going to happen with the salary? What's going to happen with my dates? What's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with that? So numbers, like I said, got redefined. But it really had to say, I need to reinvent myself. So the reinvention came in. And when the reinvention came in, everything else just fell into place. Yeah.
So, like, it's me now. I want to start 2025 by pursuing purpose. It's an example, but it's true, obviously.
Yes.
I'm in corporate. I'm comfortable. Like, let's get to the practical sense of it. Do you just resign? Do you?
No, I mean, I'll be honest with you. It was at a point where I can comfortably say I can stay for so much without worrying about income.
Okay.
You have to be
Okay.
padded.
Yeah.
You have to be padded enough to say, worst case scenario, if in the next 6 months, if in the next year,
Okay.
if something does not work out, will I still be able to do at least the minimum? Then secondly is to readjust your life. You have to adjust.
Okay.
If you were used to going to restaurants and just branching all over the place whenever you wanted, now you start to think about it, to say, okay, maybe this is something I can do once a month, cutting down on expenses, paying off debts that you can pay off. So it's something that you, at the same time, you know about it at the back of your mind. You are doing all these small steps. But when you get to it at that point, that's when you realize that, oh, that's why I had been doing all these things, because I had been wanting to get away from debt. I've been just making sure that from a financial perspective, I'm just comfortable. So that is that one is very important.
Okay.
You have to be practical about that. then what is your skill? And is your
Okay.
skill relevant? What kind of problems are you trying to solve with the skill that you have? And will the skill be able to get you to a point whereby not only does it fulfill your purpose, but you are also going to be able to make ends meet, because you have to be able to make ends meet. The relationships that you have, I started thinking about the kind of relationship and the networks and the connections that I have. And really, what is in front of me? What is it that I have in front of me that I can use? I've got my skill. I'm a forensic expert. I've got relationships. I've done it. Yes, under a protected environment, but now I'm just going outside. It's going to be just me. And then how are you going to go about it? Your branding, your awareness. How are you going to break yourself from Boitumelo Lekoko, who was a partner there, or who did this, to Boitumelo Lekoko, Managing Director of Lekoko Advisory Services? So those are the practicalities that you need to bring in, and other things will just come in. They will follow you. I started speaking at events. It was really, for me, I thought I was just going there to bring in my expertise, but it started being another multiple stream of income. I started, being the voice for the voiceless wherever I was, and it'd say, okay, but can you come and we do an interview about this and this and that? So those things, they start falling into place.
Okay, so it's really just getting back to the numbers, making sure that you understand that I will need these numbers for the next 3 months.
You can't run away from numbers.
Yeah,
you can't run away from numbers.
Very important. Maybe I should ask, because then you need to then bring in your community into this. As much as it's your personal purpose, you have your children who are at the school somewhere, maybe you need to downgrade.
Yep.
You have your family, obviously, they need to now support you into your new endeavors.
Yes.
We call it black tax in another way. Maybe you were having such, which is not really black tax. I also don't believe I believe in the concept, but there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
So those things you need to now say, I'm not able to help you further because of those things. So how do you get this community aligned?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's a challenge. Remember also you're battling within yourself, because you're having now a new identity, for lack of a better word. And this identity is really now, okay, who am I without this title? Oof.
That's a difficult one.
A difficult one, because titles open doors. Titles give you a sense of gratification. And now when you are in a space and everybody's saying, I'm this, I'm the chief of that, I'm this, I'm that, and then you come in, I am a managing director, and then they say, what's that? So really, for me, it was the battle of the identity first with myself. I went into an isolation period just before I really just said, okay, I'm ready to go out into the world about this. And by the time that I got to a point where I'm communicating with everyone, I was very sure and self-assured. Because if you're not, I'm telling you, you'll go back and knock and take back that resignation letter. Because, I was listening to, I think it's another podcast where they spoke about Jesus, and then whenever he wanted to have encounters with God, he would go by himself, or he would call a few disciples. You need to be and be drawn to yourself. Look at that woman in the mirror and say, who are you without this title? And yes, definitely there was some downgrading that needed to be done. Luckily, I've got a very supportive family. My mother is very supportive. So all these endeavors and the things that I used to do, I mean, we just came out of Christmas. Probably the things that you were the one who was carrying the entire Christmas, carrying the entire festive, and luckily right now, I mean, all my siblings are working. So everything fell into place. Everyone is working. Everybody's looking into their lives. It's not a thing of I'm going to have to abandon so and so and so. So within my own space with my children, looking at the school. For example, my child was in boarding school, so I had to take him out of boarding school because I said, okay, time to come back home so that, some of these expenses can be redirected and repurposed.
Yeah. So what you are really saying, I remember when I then left corporate to be an entrepreneur back in 2016, it felt like I'm lazy. Like people, my sisters were like, are you sure? Like you are selfish. We depend on you.
Yes.
So you can actually create families, but they are trying to really understand you. What's wrong with you? So it's very important, that solitude time where you feel your cup to the brim, so that when you get to the world, there's no space of feeling any negativity in you.
Yes, there is no space to even change your mind, because that can easily be swayed.
And a lot of people, that's why they're still sitting with that void where they're sitting. It's because they listen to people. And at this point, you don't even have to listen to your partner. Please, our partners mustn't hear us. But you listen to counsel, because God will bring counsel, like people who, like at this. So you need to be, that solitude time allows you to have awareness of who you need to listen to, who's, so it's very important.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, so it's all about the environment as well. Okay, without me being there. So now you have moved, maybe you are now settled, you are now jumping. Like that first day, like I've resigned, everyone knows. Where do we go?
Okay, then remember, we live also in a world, I just want to bring in a little bit of a spin. So we live in a world where people have got this thing of, I want to show the haters that I'm going to make it. I want to show, people that think that I'm not going to make it, I resign. Because the thing is, once you make that decision, everybody wants to know. Every time I open my WhatsApp, it was, where are you going? What are you doing? It was like, okay, why are people so interested? Even people that I haven't spoken to in years were sending me messages asking me, so where are you going? What are you going to do? And I just said, you know what? I don't have the pressure to even answer to anybody, what is it that I'm going to do? What's next? And maybe just to take it a little bit, when I resigned, I thought I was going into another corporate job. Okay. It was after, when I was in that solitude, that now I realized that actually there's just no way. And that counsel that you're talking about, that wall that you look at when you are just alone and you are just saying, okay, now what? What have I done? What am I going to do? And you start getting the answers little by little. So maybe to get back to that, so I really wanted to avoid that space, because the first thing that you need to do is you need to realize that, am I going to be in my abundance mindset or am I going to be in my scarcity mindset? The scarcity mindset is when you're saying, there is so much out there, but I don't have space in it. Forensic investigations, there's a lot of people that are doing investigations. Who am I to try to go and breach into that space and think that I'll be able to make ends meet and make money or make a living out of it? So I had to switch into an abundance mindset to say, there's actually a whole lot more for all of us. There's a piece of, there's a piece of cake in this whole puzzle that I can also be part of. I had to come into agreement with myself that I'm enough, I'm validated. My skill is good enough and my expert is good enough for it to be demanded. Whether it's the same way as the other person that started 5 years ago. So I had to really get to that, to stop, that mindset, because sometimes that's what it is, where you're saying, I want to show them. So when you want to show them, you are boxing yourself and you are limiting yourself. But when you're saying, actually, there's so much out there for all of us. I want to collaborate. I want to work with people. What relationships do I have? Let me be open. And openness also helps you to identify other streams of income. I mean, I don't do the work as much as I thought that I would do than what I actually do now. Yeah. I thought I was going to be doing investigations, arresting people in December, coming with the hawks and all of that. But I'm finding myself, I'm actually doing more motivational speaking. I'm speaking more. I'm finding myself actually thinking about other things, guest lecturing, academia. Those are the things that I didn't think about at that point in time. So that abundance mindset and just opening myself up to saying, there's actually a space for me and there will be an attraction, there will be a demand for the things that I have to also offer, help me to actually bridge that gap.
Definitely. And it's actually just making sure that you understand that now the business is you, I always call it the personal side of business as a founder. It then lies with you.
Ooh, it does lie with you. I mean, Also, the other thing that is also very difficult with being coming from corporate into being running your own, you want to stick to the 9 to 5. That was the first thing that I realized, and I said, no, actually, no. In the middle of the day, I can go and do other things. So I wanted to stick to that 9 to 5. I wanted to fill up my diary. But I understand because that's something that I'm used to. But as time went by, I realized that I'm going to have to redefine myself. This purpose is actually redefining my numbers, my day. Does my day have to start at 8 o'clock? No, not really. Maybe 8 o'clock. I could be giving a class gym as a gym instructor, helping other people to feel good about themselves. I leave there, I go and I have a meeting. Then I go somewhere else and I do a talking, a meeting, a strategic session, and that is my day. And it's got so many things that I have done in it, but it's all aligned to one thing. So that's basically one of the things that I identified, that really I don't have to stick to the script. The script has flipped and I have to actually just step into this new power that I found.
And it's really going against the wind. So all your life, in a way, you have been on this wind that everyone is flowing on. Like go to school, like when we're at school, now you are working, this is how we work. Now you are against the wind.
And that wind like can blow you away.
So I feel like entrepreneurship, self-sufficiency, as much as we are self-sufficient in corporate and we need people in corporate.
Yeah.
But there's a bit of it that we really don't get it to the personal level, even in the schooling system, to say, it's okay to be different. It's okay to do things differently. That's why, I was looking at my child eating yesterday and he was busy using the left and something in me wanted to correct him to use the right, because we should use the right. So that really becomes such a nice exercise when you're starting.
Yes, yeah.
So then how do you professionalize? Now there's a Lekoko. I hope I'm pronouncing
Lekoko,
it right.
Yeah,
incorporate. How do you then start filling in? Because you are the business, personal side of the business, but the business is the business.
The business is the business,
So how do you start professionalizing it, pricing? I find a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that pricing, because you used to have a salary, now you need to invoice.
And that invoice must also pay you and pay other people and pay everything else. So I think experience is something that we cannot avoid. Okay. Experience is very critical. When I left, I had been a partner and, I can go out and do proposals. I can go out and negotiate with clients. I can go out and basically you're building a business as a partner or a director of within a firm. You are running your own business, but it's just that you are protected. So those skills never left me. So I applied them. I know what are the industry rates, and I know that, okay, for this type of work, these are the rates that we are charging, and you are able to give it, to tell clients. You can't do anything else. You can't say I'm charging the engineering rates. You are within a forensic auditing environment, governance environment. These are the rates. But like you say, how do you professionalize it? I'm already a profession. I'm already a profession. I'm already an expert. The industry knows me, and it's really just then to say, branding wise, I'm doing this independently. You have to do things the right way. Compliance, governance. I've got an advisory board. Make sure that if somebody says, I need you to do this for me, do you have all these sets of documents? All those things are there. So the governance aspect of it, the compliance aspect of it, and also just being held accountable with this independent advisory board, that actually, even when there is a need for funding, I need to go and propose to them and say, this is what I want to do. This is the learning. These are the trainees, or the, what do you call them? When it's students, when you're bringing them in, that I want to bring in. Yes, they will be getting a stipend from this particular SETA, but we just need to add on and all of that stuff. So I think that experience is what made the landing much easier, because I could just write the proposal from the first day. This is the fee, negotiate. Okay, come and work.
So when you are saying that about experience, I find a lot of young entrepreneurs energetic, very excited, and they want to just be straight from school entrepreneurs. Like they just want to. And I love encouraging them, but there's a part that experience plays, and there's a part where if you don't have experience, pay school fees by getting a mentor, getting a coach.
Yes.
And that's the gap that a lot of startups don't want to look at. What would be your advice to that young, energetic, I want to start my own design firm?
Yes, Millie, that on the one hand, I'm very traditionally minded. On the other hand, we have to also evolve with how things are going. We're living in a country where unemployment rates are just astronomical figures that the gap is getting wider and wider. I think half of the youth it's unemployed. And even when we're talking about just not unemployed, their employability is also a problem. So if I were to advise a young person, first of all, if you can, is to really go in and get the experience. I've had some trainees that were with me and came directly from school. And even in mentoring them, I would say, if you can find a job in corporate, I would more than willing to say you can go. Not that I can't give you the experience, but probably there you are going to get it faster, broader, and you'll be able to say, I've been in this corporate because I do it and it opens doors for me, and I would like that to happen to them. So that's the first prize. Second one is if you want to just jump from that to just being an entrepreneur, you need to really think about, is your skill or what you want to go out and sell or want to offer, the demand for it, and also how are you going to even be able to do it? What kind of support do you need? What kind of relationships do you need? And if you're at a point where you need to start somewhere before you go there, then rather do that. There are people that have been born into entrepreneurship. They had families that they knew from the beginning that I am going to have to occupy that role. Those people were prepared.
Yes.
They knew about it. They've seen it. They were practicing it. So there's a huge difference, because there's sometimes what young people say, but so and so just went into it. But maybe they had bottle stores, they had taxis, they had there was a practice. There's a science behind that person that they were exposed to that you are not exposed to. So those are the things that you need to think about. But also, what kind of skill do you want to offer out there? And is it a skill that you can immediately jump into and you're able to make a living, make money out of it, and also just flourish? Because you also want to jump into something that you can grow into as well. Yeah. You don't want to get there and you're stuck.
So the value of entrepreneurial development and
Yes.
where I'm sitting, I've been an entrepreneur for some years now, from 2016.
Sure.
I feel, this is my opinion, I feel like in South Africa, because we're streamlined academical, theoretical qualifications, we then lack on the entrepreneurial development. Yes, we have those public sectors, but
programs,
most of them are run by people who haven't done any entrepreneurship. That's why you'll go to a public sector. Okay, let's not talk much. You will queue there because you don't understand that you have to go pay people. They haven't done those situations. So we struggle with that. So it's on us, people who have to start developing and start raising our hands, mentoring, because it brings the practical side of things.
It does.
How do you experience the entrepreneurial development side of it?
I don't know. I also don't want to say much about that part, but I know that there are programs in place, funding, and there's also, public sector organizations and other institutions that does all these incubations, CEDA, CFAS, and all of that. And I've seen other people really thrive in it.
Yes.
I haven't tapped much into it, and maybe that's something that I need to start looking into. But maybe as a person that's starting off as an entrepreneur, should also look into that as well, because I know people that have done really well. But for example, those people would be selling a product, and then that product, it's, has got this Africa flavor. So there has to be a niche about that thing that you're offering for it to stand out. So really, I think it's really about what is it that you're offering, and is there a program that can back you up? And when it comes to public sector things, it can only get to so much. Capacity is also a problem.
Yes.
But there are ones that are really working very well. It's taking people all over the world. People are distributing their products globally, and even their services. They're able to, and things like fellowships as well. I've seen that it works really well because it's able to also give you the mentorship. It's also able to take you to your skills on a global scale as well.
It like, just to support you, it really does fast track growth, especially those like they call it BE partners, where you are just a startup and then you have a bigger brother firm
Yes.
that then supports. It fast tracks growth, especially financially, because then you start with a client that will invoice every month.
Yes.
If the relationship is managed well, because it can also kill you and your confidence if the relationship is not managed well. So
Yes,
we just
true.
need to look out for those.
Yeah.
When you spoke about funding, most people, they don't want to start. They're sitting with that void that we started with because they're waiting for funding. Do you think they are hopes and dreams? Is there way is funding where we start?
Phew. And that is one thing that I have not even tapped into. But like I said, when it comes to these things that are available on a public scale, the capacity is also constrained. They can only help so much. I mean, I had a young lady that reached out to me. She's looking for funding for her master's. And I directed her to all these other institutions, and most of the institutions are saying you got the grades, and you've got all of these accolades, but we can only help you if you're on second year. So who's going to help her in first year? Because they're saying, for first year, they would rather take the money and do the undergrads because the person wants to do a postgrad. So they will only help you from second. So I think it has to be a point where you're saying, whatever that I'm looking for, it has to meet me where I am, and is where you are, where it will be able to meet you. So elevate yourself a little bit. Like I said, I knew that, I had some savings. I'm going to be able to be padded up when it comes to this. I'll be able to fund myself when it comes to that. And hence the advisory board that I have, where if there's anything that I need from a funding perspective, but it's people that believe and bought into my vision. And I knew that these are the people that I need to identify, and they believed in me and they believed in what I'm trying to do.
And those people will be doing it pro bono, right?
Yes.
That is funding. So most people want funding in cash, but with your purpose and your vision, you need to be very selfish to know that there is funding. You can get it and unlock it yourself by getting the people, because they sit in boards, they get paid, but for you, they do pro bono.
Yes.
So that's funding. So I just want us to remind someone who has a void that you need to do the work, and you need to see funding not as an obstacle to start.
Yeah, exactly. It like I said, use what you have in front of you. You've got the skill, you've got the relationship. You know that a way into do business in this industry is, I don't know, if it's tenders, then go start doing the tendering. Put tender documents together. Make sure you're in those panels. If it's about relationship, those relationships that you have, start reaching out to them and start making sure that people know that this is the kind of work that you do. And that's another thing. People want to go into the next level. People say, I want to start a business, but nobody actually knows about you. What do you actually do? So start with really just putting yourself out there. Yes, I know personalities are not the same.
Yeah.
I know I'm outspoken. I know it was easy for me to approach clients and approach people and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Let's start talking business. When are we having coffee? When are we doing this? You have to really do that groundwork. It's not going to happen if you're thinking that it's going to be, I'm waiting for funding. I'm waiting for the right time. But 2025 is not the right year, maybe next year. But what does it take in that industry for you to be able to start writing fees? writing fees, making revenue, making money. Because somebody says, what's the point of a strategy if it's not going to bring you profit?
Definitely. So, like now, you want me to ask this question. So, I was coaching a group of women over the week, during the week, and most of them, they are hoping, waiting for God. This year will work out. Yeah, their business is doing well. They are not clear that the business must make this much.
Yes.
In numbers value.
Yes.
And it's reminding ourselves that being in business means you must make profit. You are not charity. So there's some form of you need to make money, and we need to be harsh on that.
Yeah. You need to, like I said, because of that environment that I was coming from, where I was expected to perform. And performing is numbers.
Yes.
I mean, when you are in in a firm, it's numbers. Oh, numbers. What's happening? What's happening with your numbers? How are your numbers? How are you doing with your numbers? So I do that. And also the advisory board, they hold me accountable in terms of the numbers. What's happening? Why is this not happening? Why are you making more there? Why are you not making sure that, there's enough that's coming from that side? So the numbers are very important. You cannot run away from numbers. And like I said, you really need to start asking yourself, in this industry, where do you start and how do you make money? Is this industry, are you operating more on the public sector? Are you operating more on the private sector? So those are the kind of things that you need to start asking yourself questions about. And it really should be about, it's not, yes, we pray to God, but be specific also. God, I want to make 5 million this year. Oh, I want to make money. Ooh. And also, how much are you going to make money for yourself? Because you also need to also take care of yourself. You need to draw a salary from that business. You need to pay other people from that business. So those are the things that you need to really always at the back of your mind. The numbers. What are the numbers attached to this business?
And you're actually making me excited because after the session, I gave them a homework, like a session activity. They have to go to their industry and understand how big is that industry in numbers. And their competitor, what is the competitor making? Because sometimes we are lucky because we're in an industry where performance is in numbers. But people who are coming from, maybe they were just operational people, but they have the passion. They haven't grown to the numbers side of things. Then they struggle to attach numbers.
Yes.
But the first thing is understanding that this industry I'm in, people are making billions. I must be part of these billions.
I must also like I said, there's enough for everyone in the industry. Know your competitor, but at the same time, I collaborate a lot with other small firms, small medium firms. I collaborate with other people that I used to work with. They've got the skill. Maybe this person is a forensic technology specialist, and I don't have it in my business. I call on that person. We work together. And also, we really complement each other. Sometimes I'm doing an investigation. I need somebody to independently look at it, and maybe the budget was not enough, and maybe I must just bring in somebody independently. Do you have 16 hours? We agree. They look at the report. The experts from an independent eye. Did you look at this? Oh, but this was not consistently applied. Go back and look at that, ensuring quality when we bring the deliverable to the client. So, like I said, the relationships that you have built, don't drop them.
Yes.
Your colleagues, those are the ones that are in corporate. They become very important as well because they are the ones that are going to talk about you in rooms when you're not there. So those are the people that are going to say, I actually know someone when they're having a meeting. I know Tumi, she actually does this. Okay, then they bring you on board. So it's important to build that solid foundation. And that solid foundation also is making sure that when you are not there, there is some, whispers to make sure that you are in that room in another day.
So it's knowing that there's power in multiplying yourself, and you can multiply through collaborating. If you see an opportunity, don't say, I can't share.
No, don't do that.
Because then we need a team. You can't do it alone. 1 times 1, I always say, remains 1.
Yeah.
So we need to collaborate.
We need to collaborate.
We need to grow. We need to see the numbers, and understanding that these numbers are possible is then bringing in action and goals that attaches to how I'm going to get this number.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like what you said there about, multiplying. We had a session with, he used to be one of our bosses, and then he's a prof, Goss.
Yeah.
And then he was like, these relationships that we're having in this room are so important. When you thinking about, okay, what am I going to do next? Who's going to help me with next? Start looking in this room, because it was just a bunch of us who actually we were honoring him for what he had done for us as experts now where we are. So there was a lot of nuggets that he shared on that day. And when I started looking around the table, I said, actually, this is my collaborators. This is a team that, if I say, because sometimes when you want to go to a client, clients want a solution. They don't want problems. You don't want to say, oh, I can do this piece of work, but this one I'm not sure. You want to go there with an end-to-end solution and say, we'll be able to give you this, and we'll be able to produce this with the various, multidisciplinary team that you are able to bring in. And sometimes it's really coming in from people that you know. You don't even have to look far. Yeah.
True. So it's seeing people that you are with as collaborators, as part of your team, rather than as competitors. Oh, she's also started a firm. No. So those mindset really just makes us not grow.
Yes, that's what I was saying, that hater mindset. Oh, I want to show them they're in corporate, and, and sometimes I want to just bring in something. You might not have people that really are supportive. You might have encountered people that... And that's one of the things that I've learned, especially in my first year of being an entrepreneur. Some people want to really use you instead of really just taking your skills and appreciating them. You'll find yourself having spent a lot of hours, a lot of time thinking that you're going to help somebody, and they take all of that, and then after that they just vanish, they run. So it's important to also discern in terms of this opportunity that is in front of me. Is it something that I want to pursue? Is it something that really I know that if I'm going to put in my 100%, it's going to give me an output? Because sometimes you can see, somebody says, we need this, we need you to come and assist us with this investigation, for example. But there's no terms of reference. You're just having a conversation. Yes, sometimes these things start like that. But as the conversation unravels, there has to be levels that you can see, okay, this thing is actually developing into an opportunity. This thing is actually a lead. This thing is actually something that I can pursue. But if you can see that, no, man, there's something missing, rather walk away. Always discern, always think about. If I also, the other thing is, when you are in the space, you also want to make sure that you come in and you venture and you make money. Make money in an ethical manner. You must really be careful about the kind of business associates or things that you associate yourself with, because at the end of the day, your reputation will forever be a long-standing currency.
True.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up and really just get into closure, when you are in business, now you've moved, now you are in, like you are hustling. I don't like using the word.
I also don't like the word hustling.
It feels like you are really toiling. I don't like to toil.
And you're really not toiling. Let me put it out there. I'm not toiling.
No. Business is not about toiling. Because if you apply the right principles for business, you will get that invoice paid.
You will get that invoice paid. You will get, and you'll know what's next.
Yes.
You build your pipeline. Those are like I said, those are the things that you learn. And that's why I said experience is also important. I think when around, October, September, and even as far as August, I was just thinking about the next year. Yeah. What's my pipeline? Yes, I've got work in front of me. We are busy, but what's my pipeline? I can't be sitting around in December and saying, oh, I'm also doing the festive thing. I'm an entrepreneur. Yes. If somebody says, can we meet on the 24th? I will meet you on the 24th. So those are the kind of switches that you need to do when you get into this thing.
So that you don't toil.
I don't want to
Definitely not toiling for us.
Yeah.
So people like me, I've had to work on my personality. I was a shy village girl. That's why I still carry the village girl, but now I've transformed it to mean
and it's a beautiful
so much.
story.
So I was very shy. I was the first time entrepreneur. I just really, I was even worse. I didn't have any savings when I, like it was so bad. Like every morning I was driving, crying. There was a song that was in my spirit, singing that song.
What was it?
Like withholding nothing.
Oh, yes. I love that song. Yeah.
And then like I just had to, like it was so bad. Okay, the spiritual side of how I started. But I had a lot of imposter syndromes. Like I don't know, like I'm, So because obviously of maybe my upbringing and obviously I now know that there are people that doesn't have that with imposter syndrome, especially males, and then a lot of females that were raised from families that were very intentional. How do you deal with that?
I definitely had that. I experienced imposter syndrome, and the imposter syndrome started coming in when I was still in corporate. You move from one level, you go into the next, and then when you come in, maybe you just got promoted as a senior manager, and you're sitting with senior managers, and you're like, who? Do I even belong in this table? So how I overcame it is I started saying, I have earned my badge. I have earned the reputation. I've earned the title of being an expert. So I started really just believing in the fact that I belong here. Where I am, I'm here because of where I'm supposed to be, and I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. There's always purpose in the place that you are right now. Where you are currently, whether you're going through unemployment, whether you're going through, you lost a baby, you going through divorce, any hardships in life, that present moment has got a purpose about it. So when you start thinking about those things, and when those things start unraveling itself in your life at that point in time, it starts making sense. It started making sense why I was so fearful at that point in time. It's because I didn't know the strength in me. Once you know that there is a strength in you, and that strength nobody can take away from you. Once you know that these are all the things that I have, and nobody can take my expertise, nobody can take the fact that I've built a reputation, nobody can go and say, Dumi has done this backhanded thing. I've done things accordingly as it relates to what I need to do in this part of me being an expert. So those are the things that then made me realize that also when you look at other women, coaching, being coached, those are the things that when we were going through varsity and only when we started getting to employment, you heard about them, but you're like, I don't have time for that. I need to make sure that I meet my targets. I started believing in this thing, believe it or not, in the last 12 months. And I had been in the industry for 16 years, taking coaching seriously, taking mentorship seriously. And when you're being mentored, people that have gone before you and they tell you how they've overcome, and you actually realize that, okay, some of the things they've already leveled the playing field for us. We just need to walk in it, step into our power, and operate where we are supposed to operate.
True. So it's all about collecting that proof kit. Me, I have a proof kit. When my imposter syndrome comes, it always comes.
And
I just remember it. Hey, here in my bag, the CASA. Don't forget.
Thank you. And nobody can take it away from you.
Those small little things that at some point they were dreams, but I've achieved. So obviously not in an arrogant way, but in a humility way, because this imposter syndrome can stop you to have a podcast. Like I always have nerves.
Yeah.
So and you always have to.
And those nerves, it means that this is something that is important to you. I think we get to a point whereby sometimes our fear, we're thinking that because you've got nerves, because you're scared, it's an imposter. But that's actually maybe where you can tap in your true power. Take your power back immediately. And from that, you come off strong, as opposed to just being... the word nonchalant.
Yes.
As opposed to just being like, I know I can do this. And it works for some people. Like I know men, other people that are alpha female, other people that have been brought a certain way, they know that it's for them. And because it has been a practice, some of us, we are practicing is only now. We start to manifest that I'm taking my power back. We're looking into the mirror every morning, doing all these manifestations. Yes. If I knew what I know now, that's why I am making sure that every young woman that I mentor, I give them all these toolkits that I have, like manifest, pray, believe in yourself, coach, you need help, don't drown, ask for help.
Definitely.
As we were drowning, working, trying to figure out an Excel spreadsheet for the whole night, when you could have just raised your hand and somebody said, actually, there's a formula that you can do and solve your problem in 10 minutes. Yeah.
On that note, you can go to millicentmashele.com and get your coaching sorted out.
Oh, okay.
Now. And on that note, I forget to thank our sponsor. We are sponsored by Wansati Beauty, which is a business I founded that is in product. I'm still learning on it, but rest assured, this is quality products. So you can find some of the products at wansatibrands.co.za and also join our affiliate program. So thank you, Wansati, for sponsoring this podcast. And in conclusion, to me, you have a very inspiring, powerful story, which is not a story, it's a journey, and it's impactful. So may the Lord really help you as you unleash your numbers, because indeed our days are numbered. So as God gives you wisdom and understanding, may He really continue to take you through heights. But in closing, what would be that redefining of numbers through your purpose remark?
Yeah. Definitely, I want to maybe encourage everyone that you are where you are supposed to be. Be it that you are starting, be it that you're thinking about it, the mere fact that you're thinking about entrepreneurship, the mere fact that you're thinking about, I need to go into the next level, that is exactly where you're supposed to be. So always listen to your intuition, listen to your voice. What you have in front of you is not in vain. It's something that you can use for you to get into the next step. And I really want to say, for each and every single person, they use the things that nobody can take away from you. And there you have conquered.
Thank you so much.